Hello, and welcome to our lesson on adding fractions. In this lesson, we'll build on our prior knowledge of fractions and addition with integers to master the technique of adding fractions. Our primary focus will be on understanding the steps required to add fractions with different denominators. We'll start by briefly recalling the basic definitions and concepts of fractions. We'll then discuss the approach to finding a common denominator, a crucial step for successful fraction addition. After this, we will go through the step-by-step procedure to add fractions. Finally, we'll apply this new understanding to a variety of examples to solidify our skills. Adding fractions is essential for many areas of mathematics and real-life applications. For example, think about a scenario where you need to combine different lengths of ribbon measured in fractions of a meter. Understanding how to add fractions enables you to find the total length accurately. Moreover, these skills are fundamental in more advanced topics like algebra and calculus, where fractions frequently come into play. Let's get started. To recap, addition is the process of combining amounts. When dealing with positive or negative integers, it's about increasing or decreasing a quantity. For fractions, the concept doesn't change. The goal is still to combine quantities. When two fractions have the same denominator, you simply add the numerators, or top numbers, while keeping the denominator, or bottom number, the same. Imagine a pie chart divided into equal slices. If you have 3/8 of one pie and add 2/8 of another, you end up with 5/8. We can see that since 2/8 and 3/8 share the same denominator, we can simply add 2 and 3 to get a total of 5/8. Now let's try a slightly more complex method for when we need to add fractions with different denominators. First, find the lowest common multiple of the denominators. Identify the smallest number that both denominators divide into without leaving a remainder. Let's say we're adding 1/4 and 1/6, for example. The lowest common multiple of 4 and 6 is 12. Next, convert each fraction into an equivalent fraction with the lowest common multiple as the denominator. Change the fractions to have the same denominator by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by the necessary factor. For example, to convert 1/4 into a fraction with a denominator of 12, we need to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 3. This gives us 3/12. To convert 1/6 into a fraction with the denominator of 12, we need to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. This gives us 2/12. You can see how in both of these cases what we are multiplying by is actually just 1, and so the value of the fractions doesn't change. Finally, we can add the numerators. Simply add the numerators of the converted fractions and keep the lowest common multiple as the common denominator. In our example, 3 plus 2 equals 5, and therefore the answer to 1/4 plus 1/6 is 5/12. Now let's try addition involving mixed numbers and improper fractions. First, we need to convert any mixed number to improper fractions in order to make them easier to add. You can recall this method from our previous lesson. Simply multiply the integer by the fraction's denominator and add this to the numerator, then write it over the original denominator. For example, if we use 2 3/4, first we multiply 2 by 4 to get 8, and then we add 8 to the original numerator, which gives us 11. Finally, we use 11 as the numerator to give 11/4. Now let's say we're adding 2 3/4, or 11/4, to 1/2. Like before, we need to make the denominators the same by finding the lowest common multiple. To do this, we can multiply the numerator and denominator of 1/2 by 2 to give 2/4. Now, add the numerators of the fractions and keep the common denominator the same. 11 plus 2 gives us 13, which we can then put over 4. Finally, we can convert this back to a mixed number. Divide the numerator by the denominator to get the integer part and put the remainder over the denominator. 13 divided by 4 equals 3 with a remainder of 1, which gives a mixed number of 3 1/4. Now let's move on to look at adding negative fractions. If you add two negative fractions, keep the negative sign and follow the same steps as positive fractions. For example, -1/4. plus minus 1/4 equals minus 2/4, which simplifies to minus 1/2. If you're adding a negative fraction to a positive fraction, subtract the numerator of the negative fraction from that of the positive fraction after ensuring common denominators. For example, 5/6 plus minus 1/3 equals 5/6 plus minus 2/6, which equals 3/6 or 1/2. With these methods, you can confidently add any fractions whether they have the same or different denominators and handle mixed and negative fractions with ease. Let's dive into some examples to better understand how to add fractions. We'll start with simpler examples and gradually move to more challenging ones. We'll start with an example where the fractions have the same denominator. Let's consider the problem. 2/5 plus 3/5. Since the denominators are the same, we can directly add the numerators. 2 plus 3 equals 5. We can use this 5 as the numerator, which gives us an answer of 5/5, or 1. Now let's tackle a more common scenario where the denominators are different. 1/3 plus 2/5. First, we need to find a common denominator. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. We convert each fraction so 15 is the denominator. 1/3 multiplied by 5/5 gives us 5/15. 2/5 multiplied by 3/3 equals 6/15. Now we add the fractions with the same denominator. This gives us the final answer of 11/15. Let's add mixed numbers. 2 1/3 plus 1 2/5. First, convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions by multiplying the whole number by the denominator and then adding the numerator. This gives us 7/3 plus 7/5. Next, find the common denominator. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. We can convert these fractions to get 35/15 plus 21/15. Now add the fractions. 35 plus 21 equals 56, which gives an answer of 56/15. Now convert back to a mixed number to give 3 and 11/15. Now, a slightly more complex example. 5/8 plus 7/12. First, find the lowest common multiple of 8 and 12, which is 24. Then convert these fractions into equivalent fractions with the denominator of 24. Take 5/8 and multiply the top and bottom by 3 to show it equals 15/24. Take 7/12 and multiply the top and bottom by 2 to equal 14/24. Now we can add the fractions. 15 plus 14 equals 29, which gives us 29/24. Finally, convert to a mixed number to give an answer of 1 and 5/24. By following these steps, you can confidently tackle adding fractions whether they have the same or different denominators. Remember, finding a common denominator is key, and converting mixed numbers to improper fractions helps in managing more complex problems. Keep practicing with various examples to solidify your understanding. In today's lesson, we explored the methods to add fractions, a crucial skill in mathematics. We began by understanding the concept of adding fractions with the same denominator, where we simply add the numerators while keeping the denominator constant. For fractions with different denominators, we outlined a three-step process: finding the lowest common, multiple of the denominators, converting each fraction to an equivalent fraction with the lowest common multiple as the new denominator, and then adding the numerators of these equivalent fractions. We also tackled the addition of mixed fractions through a more complex process, converting mixed fractions to improper fractions, making the denominators the same, adding the numerators, presenting the result over the common denominator, and finally converting back to a mixed fraction if necessary. Additionally, we covered the rules for adding negative fractions, emphasizing the need to ensure common denominators and carefully handling the signs during addition. By mastering these techniques, you can confidently add any fractions, whether they have the same or different denominators, and manage mixed and negative fractions effectively. This foundational skill is essential for more advanced mathematical topics and practical real-life applications. Watch the rest of the GCSE Maths course at Sophos Education.